Should put a timer on.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not rich, it's not, man, we got another minute.
11, what's today's date?
Oh, you're right.
4th?
5,
Is it 4th or 5th?
4th.
4, yeah, that's right, 4.
Thank you.
No, it's
Good.
Come on.
There you go, there you
Call
go.
the Novi Board of Education regular meeting to order.
Thank you,
I want to welcome everybody tonight, and if we can please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Got it?
Yep.
If I can get an approval of the agenda,
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Support.
recommended by Mr. Smith and supported by Mr. Cook. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. We have our first opportunity for comments from the audience related to agenda items. Individuals who wish to address the board must identify themselves. You can just put your address on the green card in the back for Sheila and any organization they may represent. The board and individual board members will not directly respond to comments or questions that arise during the public participation portion of the meeting. Individuals who wish to address the board shall direct their comments to the entire board and not to individual board members, the superintendent, other school district employees, or members of the audience. Behavior that is intemperate, abusive, defamatory, or discourteous, or that otherwise interferes with the orderly conduct and timely completion of the board meeting is strictly prohibited. Do we have any comments from the audience this evening?
It's unrelated to the agenda.
Okay, so there will be a second opportunity for comments from the audience. So we will move on to the consent agenda items. And we only have one item on there tonight, which is the approval of the minutes from October 28th. If I can get a recommendation.
Move to approve consent items as presented.
Support.
Recommended by Mr. Menace, supported by Mr. Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. We will move on to our only action item this evening. We have a personnel report. Dr. Weber?
right on. Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. This evening, we have one new hire, Tammy McGill, Special Education Parapro at Village Oaks Elementary School.
Thank you. If I can get a motion, recommendation? Mr. Cook?
I'll move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education adopts the personnel report recommendations as presented.
I'll support.
Recommended by Mr. Cook and supported by Mrs. Roney. Any questions for Dr. Kinzer? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. We have one item on information and discussion. That is the 2021 Winter Tax Levy. Dr. Weber.
Thank you. At the September 23rd, 2021 regular board meeting, the Novi Board of Education formally certified the revised 2021-22 tax levies is listed below. Let me get down here. The report is presented for information and discussion. It is recommended for approval at the next board meeting. And Mr. McIntyre, are there any comments that you'd like to have on that?
I know the only change was made when we had a reduction in the hold harmless, everything will stay the same.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? Obviously, if you don't have any tonight and you have something that comes up, you can certainly send an email to Dr. Matthews and Mr. McIntyre in this regard. Okay. Mr. Cook?
I'm just gonna, it's been long-standing in the school district, and it's in our policies that we do 50% in summer, 50% winter, which is less, evens the burden on the taxpayers, and it's really appreciative because having some other property in the state where they don't do that, it makes a big difference. So this helps taxpayers, be able to consistently budget, and it's something that's long-standing on this board, and it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, this will come back to the board at our November 8th. Hold on, let me think what day it is. 18th board meeting for action. We'll move on to our second opportunity for comments from the audience. The same information applies. If you would like to come up to the podium, and please state your name and fill out a green card so that Sheila can have the records correct. We have a 5-minute time limit, and Mr. Mena is our timer. Any comments?
Hi. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Zagon. I'm a Novi resident. I have 2 children in the district. I'm coming today to bring a development from the Board of Commissioners meeting on October 29th. Commissioner Gingle tried to read this memorandum I'm going to read before his mic was cut off at the meeting. It was a memorandum to David Woodward, Chairman of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, from Michael Spitz, Minority Caucus Chairman, and Michael Gingle, Minority Caucus Vice Chairman. The subject was elimination of county mask mandate. The date was 10/28/2021. CC, Chairman Woodward, over the course of the past several weeks since the Oakland County Health Department implemented the mandatory mask order, emergency order 2021-1, there's been a significant amount of discourse and agreement on the legality of the order. As a result, the Minority Caucus obtained an outside law firm to assess, sorry, it's really small, above the item. The opinion was that was provided from the outside firm concluded that the emergency order 2021-1 is not a legal action and that the health department did not have authority to issue the emergency order. Therefore, the Minority Caucus is requesting that you ask for a written opinion from Oakland County Corporation Council on the legality of emergency order 2021-1 and the health department's legal authority to issue such an order. Thank you for advance for your attention to this matter. If you have any questions or would like to discuss, please contact me. So I did email Commissioner Gingle about this to see if he could elaborate on the legal opinion, and I'm still awaiting a response from him about that. And I've read the email from Dr. Matthews regarding the opinion from the attorney with the Novi schools. So I guess I'm a little confused on why the polar opposite legal opinion. So I would just urge you to further take a look into this. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, it's a very vague memorandum, you know, and I'm still waiting to get information back, but I'd really like to hear what their law firm found, you know. And I wasn't going to bring up this topic, but I saw a Facebook post on our Facebook page, the Novi Community School District Facebook page, about the upcoming partnering with the Oakland County Health Department to offer the COVID-19 vaccines for ages 5 to 18 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Sunday, November 21st at Novi Woods Elementary. I emailed the board and Dr. Matthews on September 9th of 2021 about various COVID-related issues, and one question was about testing and vaccination. My question was, what will that, meaning testing and vaccination, look like in our schools? And Dr. Matthews' response was, we are not implementing testing in our district because of concerns with who would be responsible, privacy issues, etc. We're sharing in our written information support for vaccines. We are not planning on having it shared in the classroom or by teachers. So I guess what changed in the last 2 months? Our schools shouldn't be utilized this way and using taxpayer money. This product is not FDA approved and has only an emergency use authorization with zero manufacturer liability. Yep, zero manufacturer liability. The goalposts have continued to move over the last 19 months, and I'm concerned about what's next. Hopefully not a vaccine clinic during school hours. This is a slippery slope, and it's time that it comes to an end. Furthermore, there are no shortages of local pharmacies and medical centers parents could take their children to if they choose to. So I would just urge the board to look into this matter. And I would also urge you to look into the legal opinion obtained by the Minority Caucus. of the Board of Commissioners of Oakland County on the Health Department mask mandate. And I will continue to pray on these matters and that people will be brave and stand up for our children and parental rights. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any further comments?
Good evening, Board. Jason Mitchner from Novi. So I would ask that while the Board is considering what is going on, I would submit that the goalposts, at least that I understand them, are not changing. I believe that we were at the level we're at by Oakland County Health because we're a high-risk state. We have been since August. It has not changed. Every county in Michigan is still red and high risk. Recently, the COVID cases have gone up over the past week. We're now at 4,588 as of last count, which is an increase over last week's total of 3,000 and some. So as far as the goalposts, as far as infection rated, infected, and infectivity by the CDC, that hasn't changed. The numbers are again going up, so that's not in the direction we'd want to go to change anything. And then there is vaccinations becoming available for those who want them that would cover any child in the Novi School District. So I feel like things are going well. No schools have had to shut down, although Deerfield has had at least one case. That's the school my son goes almost every week with the exception of 1 or 2. We had some more reported this week. So I feel like just as if traffic deaths had gone down because we had new safety measures implemented in cars, like seatbelts, airbags, and maybe some autonomous braking, it wouldn't make sense to me to then say, okay, let's take the seatbelts, airbags, and safety systems out of the cars because people are not dying as much. I would say that that's the reason, and so you want to keep them in place. So I would urge that the Board consider the parental rights of the parents that do wish the mask mandate to stay in place. As you do these further investigations, and just remind the Board that right now, legally, it is something that you would want to keep the mask mandates in place. Nothing has changed at the county level right now, so I don't see a need for change at the school board level. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay. Thank you for being here tonight and sharing your feedback. We will move on to the acting superintendent's report. Dr. Weber.
Hey, thank you. So, first off, if you are on the Twitter following any of our teachers or superintendent, we're in Washington DC with a bunch of 8th graders right now, is what they're seeing, and it looks like they got the weather as well, which is fantastic. And tonight, really some beautiful pictures to check out. So thank you to actually Mr. Ken Fenchel, who, if you have had an 8th grader, has benefited from Ken's work, and Ken has really been amazing in organizing that, bringing 500 or so teenagers to Washington, D.C. for a number of days, turning them loose in a food court, things like that. Amazing. So if you see Mr. Fenchel, give him a high five or a fist bump or whatever you're inclined to do. On Tuesday, we honored our Michigan Continuous Improvement Plan, or MyKIP, where our teachers engaged in professional development. Kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 5th grade focused on math. Those special thanks to our instructional coaches there, as well as our math interventionists. 3rd and 4th grade teachers focused on small group instruction. So basically that is what we call Tier 2, where we're finding ways to work with students in smaller groups to help them and give them the opportunity to learn. And then 6th through 12th grade, we worked on understanding by design, and that's when our teachers collaborated to do work to articulate their courses. And again, that's part of that big atlas work that we've talked about in the past. So for the coaches, the math interventionists, thank you so much for all the work you did to pull that off. And then I think it's also important to say thank you to everyone in our maintenance group, our food service group, our custodians, our front office teams, so the people who greet our kids, and our families when they come into the buildings, as well as our tech team. So if you think about what our tech team has worked on in the past year and a half or so, we went to a 1-to-1 district. We added a Roar Center. We're in the middle of a $187 million bond. And listening to the work that they're doing to provide opportunities for our students is really wonderful as well. So much thanks to them as well. And that is all I have tonight. Mr. McIntyre, what do you have?
Oh, thank you. Last board meeting, the financial audit was percent, we got unmodified on that, and then we got, a separate rate of rating on the capital project seeking fund audit. So I want to give out some thank yous. I want to thank the board for your direction. I want to thank my cabinet team members, Drs. Matthews, whoever, and Kenzie for your help on the budget. And I want to thank my co-workers, Deanna Wheeler, Sandy Brazel, Beth Henderson, Jody Malvine, Sheila McDonald, and Liz Cross. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you. So an update on our Deerfield principal hiring process. I've been busy this week interviewing really highly qualified candidates. I'll continue that work tomorrow and next week. Additionally, I will meet with as many Deerfield parents as possible in 2 meetings next week. We will be doing a Zoom meeting during the day at 2 o'clock on Thursday, and then an in-person meeting in the Deerfield Media Center. I'm sorry. It was originally scheduled to be in the Deerfield Media Center until we remembered that the book fair's there, so it'll be in the cafeteria on Thursday evening. We will be conducting our panel interview, which is our final group interview process on November 19th. And we're on schedule to make an offer to a candidate and present the recommendation to the board on December 16th. Additionally, I would like to just let everyone know how much fun Halloween was at Deerfield last week, other than standing in the rain in the car line. But we had a fantastic day. I was able to take advantage of the day and get into every classroom and connect with teachers and students. So it was a great day at Deerfield Elementary School.
Fantastic, thank you. And now we have an opportunity for board communication. If anyone on the board has anything to share, please feel free. Mr. Cook?
Somebody said 36 minutes, so let's see if we can stretch this out. No, as most of you know, I was not here last week. I was at the middle school choir concert. And the week before that, I was actually at the high school choir concert. And my mother was a choir teacher, or choir director for 35 years. The one thing she said about the kids that sang was, you could always pick up an instrument and put it down, but your voice you'll have with you forever. And those kids, each in their individuals, each uniquely, in their own voices, came together and put on one heck of a concert. The high school concert got thrown a little twist. The 4 choirs were all given the same piece to sing, but different arrangements. And if she would not have told us that beforehand, you would not have known. It was very, very well handled. And the kids learned that, yeah, just because there's words on a paper doesn't mean I'm singing the same song I sang before. So I think one thing that we could take from that is that our performing arts department is performing well above and beyond, and the kids are learning, the kids are performing, and it's something that even if you don't have a kid that's singing or acting or playing in the band or orchestra, it's something worthwhile to go see. And you don't have to pay an arm and a leg to get a ticket down at Symphony Hall or the Masonic Temple or something like that, or the Orchestra Hall. So my props to the teachers both at the middle school and the high school for doing that. Unfortunately, Ms. Grabinski, you guys voted to let her retire. She's only got one more concert, the winter concert, which will be the day before she's done. So, I think the whole community should get out and listen to these kids sing. Even though it was through mask, it was still very good. So.
Thank you, Mr. Cook, for sharing that. Any other board communication? Mr. Mena?
Sure. We'll be hosting a couple of state soccer finals at the stadium this week in Division 1 and Division 4. So we should have a lot of traffic happening at the stadium this weekend. Volleyball will be hosting regionals next week. I'm just checking, and looks like our girls did win tonight, so they'll be moving on to regionals, which will be nice because we're hosting the regional that they're in. So I think that'll happen starting next Tuesday. And then we will be hosting a state semifinal for football here, as we have for the last few years, on, should be Saturday, November 20th. That would be the week before Thanksgiving. And then last, just as a follow-up, as we were talking about some of the mask stuff and some of the legal opinions, I do, based on some additional information that I've gathered since we had to talk to our attorney, there are some additional questions that I do have, and I'd like the opportunity to see if we can work a follow-up with him, whether it be by email or something, if we
Sounds
can
good.
do that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mena, and we'll reach out to Dr. Matthews to make that arrangement. Any other board communication? Miss-
Got one.
Oh, sorry, my head was turned to this way.
That's fine.
It's, I just wanted to remind everybody, November 13th, the Frog Force is having a big competition at the high school. It runs all day, and I think awards are like 4 or 5 o'clock. So there's that. And then I'd also like to thank the IT team for keeping our network safe. I see a lot of things coming through with double authentication and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's wonderful, you know. You see that little commercial that says hack me, so that won't be us. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Roney. Mrs. Hood?
I wasn't planning on saying anything, but we've got like 15 minutes to go, so I'll keep going. But something that, so Mr. Cook's comments just kind of prompted me to think about this. And I'm typically, when I say, when I talk about performing arts, it's always marching band. My 2 boys did marching band. They also both did varsity sports, but I love the arts and the value that it brings to our kids' lives and our lives as parents, thinking back, I mean, the memories that we have. And then, so I would encourage parents to go to, even when your kids aren't in the marching band show or the choir, the talent and the art that comes out of our district is really stunning. But Dr. Weber mentioned Mr. Fenchel's tweeting today, speaking of kids. So he tweeted a picture of Ford's Theater, and he said, Throwback Thursday. It was about 10 years ago when we were sitting in the balcony here, and a kid exclaimed, hey, Lincoln was killed in a theater like this. So I took a snapshot and sent it to my 2 boys, because that was about the time that they were, one of them would have been in 8th grade, and I got 2 negatives back. Wasn't me, Mom. So that's all. But I do follow on Twitter, and it's been fun to watch the different buses and where they are in Washington, D.C. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hood. Any other comments from the board members?
Oh, we still have time.
No, we don't. You guys are really trying to like shoot for our towns.
My son was in the choir, just to go off of Paul, and I catch him every now and then,
11 minutes.
just, you know, singing,
Yeah.
you know, and it's fun. No, go ahead.
I don't understand why
We got
Mr.
11
Smith,
minutes,
who's
but-
usually been a champion of the arts, is not chiming in here.
It's all good.
That's great. Alrighty, I just have a minute to say, the high school teachers, it's really amazing to watch them, you know, with their conferences. It's a lot of work for them after a long day of school. I know yesterday they had a half day, but today they had a full day, and it's like speed dating, 3 minutes going on Zoom, but it's really a great opportunity for teachers to connect with parents and discuss the students' progress now that they're kind of in the swing of things, so. That is really great, and I've enjoyed watching the DC smiles, because those kids are extremely happy. They're happy to be away, they're happy to have this wonderful experience in DC, and to really just kind of feel like they're doing something that they're, the students before them got to do. So, hearing no other board members wanting to make comment, I will ask for adjournment.
So moved.
Support?
Recommended by Mr. Mena and supported by Mr. Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 6-0.
A new record.